And we are live. Hi, I'm here with Dalia. Hi, Dalia. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here with us today. We will jump right in. Please tell everyone who you are and what you do.
So, hi everyone. Nice to meet you. First of all, thank you to Emily for this platform. I really appreciate it. I'm Dalia. I'm an empowerment coach. So, I help people to build a better and healthier relationship with themselves and with others. And I do this through positive mindset work a lot and self-love tools and different things along them lines. And yeah, I think mindset work is a big, big thing. The beliefs that we have, first of all, I believe that what we believe creates the reality that we have for ourselves. And we have a lot of limiting beliefs from our past, from our childhood, from society that stops us from doing and being where we need to get. So I focus on them limiting beliefs and create different ways to change them beliefs from limiting beliefs to empowering ones to empower you and move you forward to where you need to get to. And also focus on positivity and gratitude, and they're big tools that I use a lot, and that helps you to really get to where you want to get and to improve the relationship with yourself. I think the biggest relationship, the most important relationship that we always need to work on is the one with ourselves. I'm sure you can relate to that. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what I do.
Awesome. And can you please share with us how you got to doing what you do today?
Yeah, sure. So I think I had two bigger breaking points that got me to where I am today. I think the first one was, and the first one I'm only realizing in like the last few months that was actually a big turning point that brought me where I am today. So I think that is a breakup that I went through in 2015. And it was, at the time, obviously, I didn't realize that it was a very toxic relationship and not a healthy one. And there was a lot of codependency from my end as well, which I only am realizing now that I'm delving into codependency in different areas like that. So it's quite interesting. But in short, at the end of that breakup, I had no confidence and I was like very lost because I kind of revolved my whole life around him, and he was like the main point in my life, and everything was around him. I was the definition of the people pleaser and doing everything for someone else and putting everyone before me and saying yes and not knowing how to say no. So after that breakup, I was kind of at a lost point and didn't know, like I had everything planned. I thought he was going to be the one I was going to spend my life with, and I didn't know where I was going to go from there. So yes, after that, that was like a big turning point. And then I went into a self-discovery journey and kind of got to know myself again, which took a long time. And at the time I was studying psychology, which was super interesting and super helpful as well. And I, until today, use a lot of the tools that I studied in my first degree in psychology. But yeah, so I was studying psychology at the time, and I studied the MA with you. So I was studying for 5 years. And then after that, I just needed a break from life. And that was the next big turning point. And I was basically in a point where I was living and doing everything I was supposed to do and should do. But I always felt like, is this really life? Is this it? And I knew that something was missing. So I decided that I was going traveling for a while and taking a break from everything. At the time, I was working like 12-hour days, 14-hour days. I was working 2 jobs, studying. Like I was constantly busy and never had time for myself, never ever made time to just do what I wanted to do. And I was constantly working and pleasing and everything else. So I decided that enough was enough and I was taking a break. And it was a 4-month break. I started in Australia, went to see my cousin who lives out there in Sydney, then went to the Philippines and Thailand. And then I had like 2 months left. And I'd always wanted to go to India. I never knew why, but it was just like a big dream always. And everyone always told me, don't go there. It's dangerous to go there as a solo female and it's not safe and don't go. And for a long time, I did listen. And when I was at that point, I was like looking at flights and where I was going to spend the next 2 months. I said, I feel like something's telling me inside, this is the time to go. So I can definitely say intuition is always right. And I went to India, and I had no plan, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was one of the best decisions in my life, because when I got there, I went through a crazy self-discovery journey when I was there. I was in the Himalayas for nearly 2 months. And I remember one point, I was supposed to go to this small village in the mountains for 3 days. And I left my big backpack in the main city. And I took like a small bag just with enough stuff for 2-3 days, like 2 pairs of trousers, a towel, a couple of t-shirts, like proper traveling style. And I ended up staying there for 3 weeks, nearly a month, and that was all I had. And then my towel also got stolen. And I just remember one specific point where I was sitting outside looking at the Himalayas, and I had no materialistic things and nothing on me. And it was one of the happiest moments I've ever had. And I just realized, like, it was that moment everything changed. And I just realized how simplicity and how just being in nature and can be so healing and can be so like, wow, so empowering. And I think from that moment, I said, I'm never doing anything again that I don't want to do just because I have to. And I'm stopping pleasing everyone and saying yes. And life's too short. And now I've seen a different way of life, which is the way that I want to live. And I'm just going to be true to myself. And yeah, one of the biggest things that I encourage with my clients in coaching is just be you and just be authentic. Even if people don't approve and you don't get the validation you want from outside, if you're honest and if you're true to yourself, that is the most important thing.
Amazing. And finish the story. So you were in the Himalayas, and then you got back, and you decided, I'm going to be a coach. Like how?
No. It still took another while. So I got back because my niece was born, and this was like just over. This was like a year and a few months ago. So I got back for the birth, and I was here for 2 months, and I was planning. That was just like my trip to take a break from life, and then I was supposed to come back and get a proper job, like go back to corporate, what I was doing before, and like, you know, tick off all the boxes and do the things that society expects you to do. So I came back, and I just didn't find myself where I was at all. I just felt like I just discovered a journey, and I needed to carry on with that journey. So despite everyone not agreeing and not approving, I booked a one-way ticket and went back 2 months later, back to India. And I ended up staying there for 5 months, another 5 months. And during that 5 months, I learned so much about myself. And it was an incredible journey. And I really think it was the best decision to do. And I think as well, because of that, I appreciate where I am today and what I have way more than I did before. And I just feel more connected and more balanced than ever before, because I think before I went traveling, and then I discovered like a whole new life, and one where I met so many people when I was traveling, and they were just doing what they wanted to do, and they were living their life and making a living of what they loved. And I was like, wow, people actually do this. I'd never encountered this before. So I think I went from one extreme to like working 14 hours a day and then seeing this. And I was like bouncing back from extremes. And then now, because I've seen both spectrums, and now I'm like in the balance in between, and I know what I want to do, and I'm just way more focused. So back to your question, how I got into the coaching. So I came back in March, and that was when Corona started. I literally got one of the last flights before lockdown in the whole country and before the skies closed. And I just was rethinking what am I going to do, and where do I want to go? And coaching seemed like the obvious option to me. It was literally right in front of my eyes the whole time. Even when I was traveling, like the last 5 months, I kept on meeting people along the journey, and they were like, I'd meet people on a bus or outside the hostel, and they'd just come up to me and start telling me their life story or asking me for advice. And I didn't even know them, but it just felt like the most natural thing. And I was like, I'm doing this for fun, and I love doing it, and I love helping people and giving advice and helping people to be, like, if anything, more connected to themselves. So I was like, why don't I start a business out of this and do what I love and help other people along the way and give value? So that's how it all started.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's been a few months, and it's definitely very fulfilling, and I think the best thing that anyone can do is to really do what they love and help other people at the same time, and live the life that you love doing.
Agreed. 100%. Yep. Everywhere. Can you say that in the 5 month like stints that you learned a lot about yourself? Can you give a little bit of like examples? Because it sounds very like and you discovered yourself and things changed in your whole life, but can you give us a few examples of what changed, like what was different, what kind of things did you learn, and how, like, just.
So I think more than anything, my focus changed, to be honest, and that's what I dig into a lot when I do like a lot of mindset work. So I think before I was, apart from being like the pleaser and pleasing everyone else, if you looked up the definition of overthinking in a dictionary, you'd literally have my picture next to it. So the whole time I was just overthinking, and like every single tiny small detail, and I could literally like try and fall asleep at night, and it would take me like 2 hours to fall asleep because I was constantly thinking. So I started doing meditation, which literally changed my life. And I started a morning routine, which I stick to and I love. And I think starting the day and waking up on a positive note, and even just waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is like smile and say, today's going to be a good day, or today already is a good day, that can change everything. And that is like one of the things that I do. And what I discovered during this time is that the most simple things are the ones that are the strongest and the most empowering. So if, for example, I am in a bad mood or something goes wrong, I will literally I will literally stop for a second, even if you can't always smile because you're in a bad mood. I'll always like stop for a second and take a deep breath and just like stop, and then kind of like not react so quickly to everything. And that's like something big that changed for me. And I feel like the most basic tools are the ones that have really helped me. So breathing, deep breathing, meditation. There's a lot of good guided meditations out there. If anyone's listening and you want to try meditation, even just typing on YouTube 5-minute morning guided meditation. And if you don't have an hour to sit and meditate, that's fine. You can do 5 minutes, and it's super helpful. And gratitude is a big one. So I actually done a gratitude challenge on Instagram last week, and just waking up every day. So what I do every day is that I wake up and I write down or say out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for today. And it could be the smallest things. It could be like for having hot water, or for my family, or for having a roof over my head. It can be the biggest things to the smallest things. But when you get into that mindset of really noticing and appreciating what you have, then more and more comes to you, and you didn't even realize before how many positive things you have in your life. And also before I go to sleep, I always stop for a second and think, what are 3 positive things that happened to me today? And at the beginning, I think when you start doing it, sometimes it's really difficult. It's like, oh, I can think of 1 thing or 2 things, but what's the 3rd thing? But when you start doing it over time and really train your mind to get into that positive focus, then suddenly you're finding yourself, I can't think of 3 things, I can think of 10 things. And you just start to notice as well throughout the day when things happen, small things happen, you're like, oh, I really appreciate that now, or I'm really grateful for that. And you don't need to wait until the evening to be grateful for what happened to you, like in this moment now, in the present, and really appreciate it. And one other thing that is super helpful and has probably changed my life a lot is affirmations, positive affirmations. And I actually wrote a post about it last week. So if anyone doesn't know what positive affirmations are, they're positive statements that we tell ourselves. And the reason for it is to rewire our brain to think more positive and to believe that we can do something. So I'll explain briefly like how to do it. Is that okay? I'll explain briefly how to do it.
Yeah.
So what I tend to do with clients is to get them to, like, obviously after I've been working with them some time and know them better, then I'll get them to write down on one side of the paper or on one page all their limiting beliefs and everything that they fear and how it makes them feel, like the negative side of things. So fear of failure, I don't believe that I'm good enough, or like things along them lines. And then on the other side of the page or on another column, will transfer them sentences to more positive ones and to the opposite. And it's important that you write the statements in first person. So you say like I am or I have, and in the present tense. So you're not going to say I'm going to have a good day today. You're going to say I am having a good day today. You're telling your mind that this is happening right now. And it's important that everything that you state is in the positive. So you're not going to affirm things that you want to stop. You're going to affirm things that you want to happen, like the positive things that are going to happen. So I'll just give you like a short example. If, for example, something that you fear is failure, so you could say something along the lines of like your negative belief is that I fear failure. So your positive affirmation could be something along the lines of I can never fail because everything that happens to me makes me a better person or teaches me something along those lines. So you're telling yourself that you can and that you're capable and that you're able to do something. And at the beginning, it may sound like something really trivial and really silly and like, why am I doing this? But the more you do it over the time and the more you repeat it to yourself, the more it actually works. And then your mind starts to believe it. And when you believe something, that is the reality you create. Everything, all the reality that we have around us is from our beliefs. And the more we empower our beliefs and believe that we can do something, the more we're going to create that reality that we want and that we desire.
100%. I also do just want to add that with regards to positive affirmations, I find that it's much, sometimes it's far more effective if it's believable. So I also say that with positive affirmations that, you know, someone who has a very limiting self-belief, you know, I'm ugly, I'm hideous, whatever, then saying I'm beautiful every morning, sometimes that's hard. That's like it's too much of a leap for some people. I mean, it was for me a few years ago when that was the case. And so I find that some days I used to do positive affirmations every morning. And some days I would find that I'm having a bad day. And for me, that day, my affirmation was, I'm human. Like, that's the best I can do today. I'm human, because if it is too positive and I'm just not there, then it will be a struggle. Like it wouldn't align as well, you know? So for me as well, just one thing that I do with positive affirmations is that I say, you know, it needs to feel believable as well.
100%. I totally agree with you. I think it's important to like write the ones that you want to get to and you work on. But like you said, if you're having that bad day, I think one good one that always like sort of works for me is to really believe and trust that you are where you're supposed to be right now. And also that the journey, like if I have one message, it's that there is no end destination, and the journey is the main thing. And the journey is, I'm sure you agree with me, is like always evolving and continuous. And the most important thing is to enjoy the journey. Even if you want to get somewhere or there's something you want to do, really try not to focus on the outcome and focus on being present and enjoying the moment. Because even if things aren't working out as they're supposed to, there's a reason behind that. And that not working out is going to get you to where you are right now. And even like for me now, it took me a while to get there, but like right now I can say I'm so thankful for that breakup 5-6 years ago, because I really think without that, it wouldn't have brought me to where I am right now. And even if the time something happens and you really can't see it and you feel like your world's falling apart, there is a reason behind that, and that will like 100% make you stronger and bring you to where you need to be. I really, really do believe in that.
100%, me too. And it is just like, how can I help people see it or believe it when they haven't seen it? You know, like it's like when I heard in the past when I was struggling and someone was saying, you know, I always believed that there was a reason for everything. It was just still frustrating that I didn't know what the reasons were. But I mean, not being able to enjoy the journey, there's no end destination, it's the journey itself that's, you know, today I am so excited and trusting, and like I embrace the journey. Like I get it. I 100% get it. But when you don't get it, it's so hard. It's really frustrating. And it's like, how, you know, like how can you like help someone like believe it when they haven't seen the proof, you know? It's so hard.
100% agree with you. I totally relate to that as well, like even from my own experience, because like when you don't believe in something and someone's telling you like there's a reason behind that and it's all for the best, you're like, you just want to tell them like where to go. Like, I don't believe you. Like, how can you even say that? And one thing that I do want to say is I don't ever force anyone, and I think you'll probably agree with this as well. I think everyone has their own space, their own pace of going where they need to get. And I think you can only really help someone that really wants to change and wants to help themselves. And like one of the posts I'm writing about now, I'm writing this week about codependency. But I really feel like a lot of people as well try to save and fix other people. First of all, like about that, I can only say you can only really fix and save yourself. But I think as well, you can only help someone. There's a limit to how much you can really help someone. As even if you really, really want to help someone and you really care about them, and it's so easy for you to see from the outside how you can help them and how you can help them change. If they don't, like really, unfortunately, if they don't want to help themselves, there is a very big limit to what you can do. And you can only hope that when they're ready and when their time is ready, then they'll come and they'll turn to you and they'll ask for your advice. And I feel like from experience, it usually does happen. Everyone has their own pace to get there. But I really don't believe in forcing anything until the time is right. And I think everyone does have that time where they're ready for change. And when they're there, then they're all in. But until they're at that point, yeah, that's just a...
100%. But I've spent the last couple of years saying, like, thinking to myself, was there something that someone could have said to me when I was 17 or 18 or 20 or 23, when I was really in a bad place, that could have like snapped me out of it, that could have like gotten me ready, you know? And I don't know. And that, you know, it's always come back to that, like, you know, that timing and, you know, people, when they're ready, they'll be ready, and they need to want the help. Everything that you've just said, totally agree with. It's like, I always feel it's like, oh, there has to be some kind of secret, like key thing, like tool or phrase that can like shake someone up and get them ready. Like, I haven't come out with it yet.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, sometimes it's frustrating as well. Like you also help people as well on their journeys. So I know what it's like. It's frustrating when you can see how much you can help someone and you
Just
really
do
want to help them.
this and
Yeah,
you're
I get it. I really do. But I have also learned, like a big thing that I've also learned during my journey and to help other people is to just let go sometimes and like trust that things will be. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
But also sometimes when you let go, then things just come. Like even simple examples. Sometimes I'm writing content for posts and I'm just not feeling it and it's not coming. And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to let go now and I'm going to go back to it tomorrow or later on in the evening. And then I'll sit down and then everything will just flow. And like, I feel like that with life as well. Like when you let things go and when sometimes you stop holding on and clinging on to the attachment of anything, whether it's like that or love or money or anything, then when you let go of the thing that you're attached to, then things come and things flow as they're supposed to.
100%. Just trust, it'll come.
Yeah.
Open your receiving channels. 100%. Is there a little bit that you can tell us about codependency? Because I'm super interested in codependency as well. I know you said you're just kind of like delving in it like now, but is there anything that you can share with us about that or about your experience with it?
Yeah, I'm literally writing a post now. So I'm super excited because I'm writing a post about it now, and I like you said before, if someone could have said to me like if something that would have woken me up or shaken me, like would I have gone through my journey earlier? I'm the same now. I'm reading it and I'm like, this was literally me in some points, like a few years back, like being that people like, so codependency can be a lot of different things. So it can be like the people pleasing side of things. It can be trying to fix someone and trying to like save someone from themselves. It can be the difficulty of saying no. It can be putting someone else's needs before yourself. There's a lot of like different aspects of codependency. And also it can be like a lot of people think codependency is like more to do with addiction, like with alcohol or with drug addiction, which it is as well. But it's also a lot to do with relationships. It can be the relationship you have with a partner. It can be in friendships as well. There's a lot of codependent friendships. When people put their need, like other people's needs and everything before themselves. And it can also happen with parents, like in parenting, which if that happens in childhood as well, that can later affect you being codependent with a relationship that you're in later. So I'm actually writing now a post about overcoming codependency. And I think one of the big things is to set boundaries, to set healthy boundaries. And I feel like we're kind of in a society where we're taught that it's not good to say no. And we avoid saying no. We try not to say no, or we don't say no to avoid conflict or to avoid discomfort. But actually saying no to someone else and saying yes to yourself is total self-care, and it's not selfish. That is the one big message that I'm going to put out there for everyone listening today, which I think is super important. And it took me a while to get there, but saying yes to you is not a selfish thing, and it's not like just I know it's really difficult at the beginning to say no if there's something you don't want to do, but you feel obligated or you think you should do it. But practice definitely makes perfect, and the more you say it and the more you do it over time, and even if you don't know how to say no at the beginning, you can, like, even just trying it out and one time just politely saying no thank you, like I'm busy tonight, or I'm doing something for me, and really putting your needs first, super important. And I know it's something that takes time for sure, but it's definitely possible. And also another thing is to stop comparing. I can't stress this enough, how we compare ourselves to other people and how we seek approval and validation from outside. And I know, like, even to the point where I have friends and people that they know they want to do something, but they're not getting the likes or the approval that they want. So they think that they're not good enough because other people aren't giving them that approval, and then they stop doing things and give up. So all I can say is that everyone has their own journey. We're all unique, and just be authentic and just be yourself. And that is the best you can do. You don't need to be perfect. Also, I can think about that for hours. I'm not going to get into that. But the perfectionism is a complete illusion, complete illusion. And I can tell you, like, as a recovering perfectionist, it also stops us from doing things, because if we're thinking something isn't good enough, then we're not going to put it out there, and it's going to actually pull us back and not pull us forward. Just be you, and the people that you need and that should and that you want to attract in your life will come. And people that don't approve, it's their problem. It's not yours. We can only be responsible for ourselves and our own actions and our behaviors. And regarding codependency, a lot of the time we try to save other people and fix them, but we can only be, like I said, we're only responsible for ourselves, and we're not responsible for anyone else's actions and feelings and behavior and how they react to you. We can only be responsible and take control of our own lives. So yeah, that's like the big things I think about codependency. Like, a lot of boundaries, and self-care is a big one that I talk about a lot as well. Really taking that time, and even if you don't have time and you're super busy and you don't have that hour in the morning to dedicate to your morning routine, fine, but do one small thing a day. Like, that's what I always say to people. Even if you don't have time, do one small thing a day that's going to make you happy. Even if it's to go around the block and walk for 10 minutes, or to cook yourself a meal, or do anything, something that does you good. Like, really acknowledge that time and make time for you. It's super important. And the more, I really believe that the more healthy and good your relationship is with yourself, then only then you can really be ready to have a relationship and to have a healthy relationship with someone else. Because I've said for a long time, how can you truly love someone else and be in a good relationship with someone else if you don't have a good relationship with yourself?
100%. And we're stuck with ourselves for life. So it's like, we're also, one of my old posts as well is, we're stuck with ourselves for life, and yet we're the most neglected, abused kind of person, in our heads. We put ourselves down, we compare, we berate ourselves, we shout at ourselves, we judge ourselves. Like, we're so mean to ourselves. And yet, we're stuck with ourselves for life. So it should be like a really happy place in there, because we're stuck.
100%. I always say to people, I always tell people, like, when they're like self-sabotaging and neglecting themselves and criticizing, I always try. I know it's difficult, but sometimes when I say this, it really changes someone's perspective. And I just say to them, talk to yourself as you would to your best friend. Like, you're not going to say all these harsh things to your best friend. So why are you going to say it to yourself? Like, and when I think the big thing about everything is awareness. When you become aware of what you're doing and you actually know and you acknowledge that, like, this is how I'm treating myself, or this is how I'm talking to myself, only then you're in a position to really change that to a more positive perspective. Because if you're constantly putting yourself down and telling yourself, I can't do this, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not worthy, when you only when you actually become aware that you're doing that, then you can change it and actually work on it. I think awareness is like a big breaking point that you need to get to really become, yeah.
Huge. Okay, I could talk about this for hours, but we're going to end it because yeah, I want to keep these videos short and to the point. But Dalia, thank you for sharing. Honored that you shared with us, and I will send me over all of your links to all of your social media and all of your things, and I'll put that in the description below. And you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.